So Grace and Michael were watching the news and they just realized how times have changed. Wow, Michael, I didn't watch too much news or TV or cable, but times have changed. Yeah, they sure have. Maybe this is why we don't watch cable news. Yeah. Well, do you really want to watch this anymore? Not really. Let's flip this off, said Michael. Okay. Well, we're going to go to the retirement party here shortly. You're all dressed and ready to go? Yeah. You have a gift? Yeah, I have a gift, said Grace to Michael. Okay, let's talk to the kids before we leave and let's head out the door, said Michael. Okay, said Grace. So Michael and Grace headed out to the out living room and the kids were all gathered in there with the babysitter and nanny. Well, kids, we're going to be heading out for the evening. We're going to a retirement party. I think we'll be home early because it's not going to be too long. It's a retirement party. Okay, said Jeni. Bailey said, That's fine, Daddy. Okay, said Elijah. Melissa said, Mom and Dad, can you bring home some cake? Yeah, we'll bring some cake home. Michael Jr. hugged his mom's leg, and so did Josiah. Aw, kids, we'll be home shortly. Okay, so they gave their mom and dad a kiss good night. They were going to go to bed shortly afterwards as the nannies were happy and one of the nannies was going to be relieved for duty. It was just going to be Jackie for the night. Okay, Jackie, you're going to be relieved here shortly, so you'll have a pretty easy night for the most part. Okay, we won't be too long. We'll probably be home early. Okay, sounds good. So Michael and Grace made their way to the retirement party and they got to see a lot of the colleagues and people that had helped them with the adoption of Jeni, Bailey, and Elijah. It was really important that they be at this very important retirement party, especially because Miss Jackson has been instrumental in helping with the adoption of the kids. Wow, I'm so happy to be here, said Grace. Same here, said Michael. They got to see Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson, we're here. Oh, Miss Jackson was so elated when she saw them. Hi, Grace. Hi, Michael. It's so good to see you. You get to meet my husband. Oh, that's great. This is Harold, my husband. Aw, that's great. Gladys and Harold. That seems like a perfect name for a couple. Ah, that's great. Nice to meet you, Harold, said Michael. And this is my wife, Grace. It's nice to meet you, said Harold. Ah, great. So are you going to have a speech? Like you seem to have a lot of speeches, said Grace. Yeah, probably a little mini speech. But I definitely want you to tell your story if it's okay, Michael. Can you share your story about the adoption? I'd really like you to share it. I know Grace is tired of doing speeches, so I thought maybe we would recruit you, Michael. Oh, I don't know. I'm not much of a speech person, but I'll do my best. Well, that would be wonderful, said Grace. I don't really want to do any speeches either, said Grace. But if Michael does it, that would be great. Oh, Miss Jackson was happy with that. Michael, you'll do fine, said Harold. Excellent. As they got to enjoy the time in the retirement party and got to meet up with a lot of old faces and some new faces as well, it got to the time where Miss Jackson did her retirement speech. Hi, everybody. It's going to be a journey to say the least in this new chapter of my life as I'm retiring as of tonight. This begins a new chapter in my life as times have changed. The clock stops here. I clocked out today, and I have to tell you, my last day of work was bittersweet. But being here at this retirement party is just kicks off a new beginning for me and my husband and my family. I want to thank you all for attending, and I have a special guest that's going to tell about his adoption story with his wife Grace by his side. And I would like you to listen to this successful adoption story. Hi, everybody. My name is Michael, and this is my wife Grace, and we have had the fortune of working with Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson has helped us adopt 3 children, Jeni, Elijah, and Bailey. And we have 3 other kids of our own. We have 6 children. We have 2 nannies, 2 babysitters that rotate schedules. So we're a big, busy household. And believe me, the 3 children of our own were surprises, said Grace as she chuckled. When we look at the clock and we realize that how fast it is to see how quick the kids have grown up, I have to tell you, times have been changing quickly. And raising children in this day and age, it's been quite complicated, but at the same time, we're very fortunate that the kids are growing up in a good school and going to a great school at St. John's Academy. But what Miss Jackson has been able to do is help coordinate their schedule and help get them back and forth to school when we were first starting out. We've been able to get back on schedule and be able to coordinate a schedule where we can get the kids back and forth to school. When Grace was first pregnant with her first 2 children, and then, of course, the 3rd child. Our 3 children are obviously younger than the older children. We adopted Elijah and Jeni, who are siblings, and we took in their grandmother as well, Mrs. Yokoshoto. So we basically took on a whole family when we adopted Jeni and Elijah. They're from originally Japan, and they have been such a blessing to our family that we added on a tea house. And that tea house in the backyard is a special place where we celebrate a lot of Japanese culture and traditions. And I could go on and on about the things we've learned from Mrs. Yokoshoto. Mrs. Yokoshoto is a very special part of this family. It's an open adoption, if you don't already know by now. Mrs. Yokoshoto told us a story about her daughter, who sadly, tragically was killed in a drunk driving accident. She was too old to take care of the kids. She was living in a nursing home. We took her in from the nursing home and we opened up our house to her. She lives with us full time. She gets a chance to raise the kids with us. She's doing phenomenally well. She's fully healthy and strong and doing great. And so are the kids. It is a well-balanced house, nonetheless. Grace would agree with me that we made the right choice when we decided to adopt the kids and bring their grandmother into the house with us. It's an extended family, to say the least. When we adopted Bailey, Bailey was a young 11-year-old. She came from a very difficult background. but she adjusted fairly easy, having Jeni the same age as her. They became quickly acquainted with each other, dancing together and doing similar projects. In fact, they're practically like twins. We've been so fortunate to watch the kids grow up in front of us, and we've had the joy of enjoying watching the kids grow up and mature as they are now in middle school. They are doing phenomenal. What I can say about adoption is it's matured us as a family. It's made us a whole, and it's also a wholesome experience. We want to thank Miss Jackson for helping us become a family. And there aren't any other words for it, but adoption is the best option. Thank you so much to Miss Jackson, and I want to congratulate her on her retirement. And I'm sure Miss Jackson knows that we will miss her, but we know that she's going to be around. We know that all the fundraisers and all the things that my company has sponsored over the last 5 years wouldn't be possible if Miss Jackson wasn't the inspiration behind it. Thank you again for giving me this time to speak in behalf of Smithton Automotive and my family and the children and especially my wife, Grace. Thank you again. And the applause in the room was astounding. Wow, Grace was so proud. She kissed Michael on the cheek. She says, I'm so proud of you. That was great, Michael. Miss Jackson was so happy. She went back to the podium. Michael, thank you so much. Oh, that was wonderful. Michael, you were wonderful. Thank you. Was I correct or not? Said Miss Jackson. And everybody just continued to clap. Well, by the time the clapping ended and everybody got back to the party, people shook Michael's hand and shook Miss Jackson's hand as Michael made his way back down to the bottom of the floor. Wow, Michael, that was such a powerful speech. So many people were shaking Miss Jackson's hand and congratulating her on her retirement. As the party continued and people were enjoying the refreshments and cake, it was also quite evident there were a lot of presents. Wow, Miss Jackson, you have a lot of retirement gifts as well. Yeah, I do. This is really wonderful. I can't wait to open up all the gifts. Oh, I'm sure. Harold was excited too. Wow. I hope we get a chance to see you soon. We're going to have to cut it short early because we got to get home. We have a hectic schedule tomorrow. Oh, I'm so glad that you came, said Miss Jackson. Thank you so much for taking time to be with me. We want to personally tell you that we are so glad that you were such an instrumental part of our adoption and everything. I could go on for a while, said Grace. Michael said likewise. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up, said Miss Jackson. Harold shook Michael's hand and gave Grace a hug. Thank you so much for being here for my wife. I'm sure your retirement's going to be a lot of fun. Do you have any special plans? We might go on a trip or something. I don't know. We don't have any real plans. Probably relax a little. That's excellent, said Grace. Michael agreed. Okay, we're going to head out the door, said Grace. Okay, Grace, thank you so much, said Miss Jackson. Harold nodded and Michael nodded back. As they headed out the door, Michael and Grace made their way back to the house. and they realized that Jackie had already put the kids to bed. Miss Yokoshoto was already asleep as well, so there was not a person sleep. There's not a person awake. Wow, this is a quiet night. Yeah, it's kind of surprisingly quiet. Why don't we make our way up to the bedroom and get some sleep? Yeah, I want to clean up a little bit before I go to bed. Okay, I'm going to hit the hay early because I have an early morning meeting. Okay, Michael said to Grace. Okay, so Michael fell asleep pretty early as Grace saw Michael was asleep. So Grace just curled up next to Michael and fell asleep. By the next day, Michael had made some coffee and had a little time to talk to Grace before he headed into work. So this coffee is as good as the coffee we had the last time. I don't know what brand you bought, but it's good. This is actually the store brand. Oh, really? It's good. Hey, listen, Grace, I don't have a whole lot of time to stay, but I just want to enjoy a cup of coffee with you. Can I take the coffee cup with me? No, you can't take the coffee cup with you. You can take it in a thermos, though. So Grace quickly puts the coffee in the thermos and lets him go. Give me a kiss before you leave for work, said Grace. Okay, Grace. As he basically kisses Grace to leave. Okay, I'll talk to you later. I'm going to be home early, okay, Grace? Said Michael. Okay, that's good. I'll talk to you later. Michael heads out the door with a thermos of coffee. Whoa, that's great. I don't even have to drink the coffee at work. So Michael gets in the car and heads to work with the thermos in hand. By the time he gets to work, everybody's in the office waiting for Michael. Well, Michael, you got here on time. We thought you had a big party to go to. I did. It was a retirement party for Miss Jackson. Oh, that's great. Well, the numbers were pretty good. We had several donations, large donations. Marissa's husband gave a large donation. Did you know that he was the anonymous donor? Oh, was he really? Yeah, Marissa Estes. Oh, wow, that's great. So he was the anonymous donor, said Vanessa. Oh, yeah, that's great. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. So we have some last minute things to go over for Thursday's report, and we're going to have a short day because I'm going to head home early. What are we going to go over, Harrison? Not a whole lot, just basically the success of the fundraiser and just hear what the volunteers have to say. It's going to be an open meeting. It's not going to be a typical meeting. Oh, that'll be good. I can't wait to see what the meeting will be about. Yeah, I want to hear the feedback from the volunteers. That's a great idea. I think we should do it that way instead of doing a normal report. Any thoughts, Julie? Yeah, I think I like that idea. Cindy, do you support that idea? Yeah, I support that. Vanessa agreed. Okay, that didn't take long. How many meetings have you been to that we all agreed on the same thing at the same time? That quickly. Uh, we usually agree on everything. Well, that's good. Listen, I'm going to sit and drink some coffee. Anybody want to take a coffee break? Uh, we already have our coffee. Okay, that's fine. I have coffee from home, so what time is it? It's only 9. It's only like 10 after 9. Oh, wow. We have a lot of time, extra time here. Let's just drink our coffee. We can have coffee time. Yeah, I like coffee time. That sounds like a great idea. We can enjoy some coffee and chat for a little bit. Okay, let's just have some downtime. You all can just take a break for right now and we'll break for about 15 minutes. That sounds good to me. Thank you. I appreciate that.